All right, let's just jump right into it. Today, we're unpacking a truly mind-bending explainer that peels back the layers of what looks like a flawless cinematic sci-fi universe, all to uncover a profoundly deep cosmic mystery. We're looking at the story of Korp. He's a synthetic being living in a realm so vividly imagined it feels entirely real. But as we're going to find out, the reality of Korp's universe is hiding a massive secret, one that completely redefines absolutely everything we know about existence, consciousness, and what happens at the very end of the line.
So imagine a world where if you stop moving, you literally stop existing. That is the prime directive here. It anchors our protagonist, Korp, in a realm where motion is quite literally life itself. In his world, standing still, it's considered an absolute anomaly. Every single entity is designed with a highly specific function just to keep the great cosmic machinery turning. Korp was built to be a carrier. Think of him like a vital, energetic blood cell in a massive, sprawling organism, forever tasked with one job: sustaining the flow.
To really get this, we have to start our journey in the Continuance. Picture this. It's a surreal landscape bathed in perpetual twilight, lit up by these incredibly bright, glowing highways and distant energy spires that draw power from a titanic central source. It's crucial to understand that this isn't a planet we're talking about. It's a boundless plane of living infrastructure. The causeways and conduits are the literal arteries of existence. It's just a stunning visual to imagine. A sky shimmering with a haze of shifting colors, humming with a steady rhythm that is beaten since the absolute dawn of their time.
And right at the heart of this is Encatia, the cradle of constructive life. Now, Encatia wasn't built, it was grown. Just imagine massive fortress walls made from this crazy alloy of living metal and crystalline bone, pulsing faintly with memory. It's wild, right? This is exactly where Korp was born into the carrier stratum, through something called the meld process, which is this perfect, seamless fusion of organic essence and synthetic framework. Down in the central sanctum, a place known as the luminarium, Korp was programmed to ensure the system's circulation never, ever ceases.
But this realm isn't just some flat, simple plane. Oh no, it is a multi-layered, flawlessly engineered machine. Down below the surface, you've got these substrate veins acting as a massive labyrinth of energy tunnels. Up on the surface, the living highways actually flex and emit these harmonic guidance tones to the circular hubs of being. And above it all, up in the transit ether, there are these vast aerial constructs that look like luminous serpents drifting and monitoring everything. It's a perfectly balanced, multi-tiered ecosystem, literally a giant living puzzle.
So Korp goes about his cycles. Everything runs on these perfectly predictable schedules, totally orchestrated by the central source. He travels from his conception in Encasia out to the very fringes of reality itself. But, as you might guess, this absolute perfection, it's about to crack. And it happens on one of these distant, rarely traveled outer networks. A subtle, genuinely terrifying glitch is about to shatter the flawless mechanics of his entire universe.
Way out deep on Route 47A, where the energy flow thins out to barely a whisper, Korp detects an anomaly. It's a resonance without any origin, and it's not speaking in data, it's speaking in memory. It whispers this terrifying concept to him. What if the central source isn't eternal? What if there was something before the realm? For a synthetic being built on absolute certainties, this is a monumental, world-shaking paradigm shift.
This obsession for the truth eventually drives Korp to a suspended platform high above where he gazes into a crystal sphere meant to reflect absolute reality. This is the viewpoint of the exterior, suspended entirely by columns of condensed energy. Embedded right in the center is the lens of clarity, glowing with amber, violet, and pale gold light. The ancient architects used this instrument to observe the balance between their contained reality and the total unknown outside. But when Korp looks into it today, the harmony is totally broken.
This is where things get really intense. The mechanical perfection of Korp's world straight up collides with what they call the inclusion. You see, the lens is supposed to be completely self-purifying, totally immune to decay. Yet Korp looks in and sees this opaque thread twisting through it, shimmering with an erratic, iridescent distortion, kind of like oil trapped in water. It isn't just a physical scratch on the glass, it's packed with alien chemical processes. It's alive. And worse, it's spreading like wildfire.
For a synthetic construct, this next part is huge. Korp experiences something he has never, ever felt before: fear. He realizes this inclusion isn't just a flaw, it's a fatal disease. His optical core starts dimming and brightening erratically. He gets this massive pulse of compression and unease, an internal feedback signal that has absolutely nothing to do with mechanical logic. Looking out at the golden haze of his beautiful world, he understands a truth no one was ever meant to know. The realm isn't just changing, it's dying.
And then, the unthinkable happens. The immutable heartbeat of existence, the very flow that sustains everything, abruptly falls into this unbearable dead silence. For the first time in the entire history of the continuance, the pulse, the literal signal of existence, just breaks. No entity within the realm ever even conceived this was possible.
You can almost feel the sheer panic and paralysis cascading across the continuance as reality itself just halts. Carriers freeze mid-transit. Those brilliant bioluminescent highways, they dim and flicker completely out. Even those massive, ancient luminous serpents up in the sky start circling aimlessly, broadcasting these fragmented, chaotic distress calls. The inclusion wasn't just a symptom anymore. It was the onset of a total systemic collapse.
Driven by this external intrusion, Korp has to manually propel himself through these fractured, totally dead highways. With the power gone, he relies on raw, unassisted motion, dragging himself to the final boundary where existence meets the exterior. As he gets closer, the highways literally fracture into shards of translucent material beneath him. His destination is the anvil of vibration, this immense, colossal dark alloy structure. It's the only thing left that can read the cosmic frequencies coming from outside their reality.
Suddenly, the anvil releases this thunderous resonance that vibrates through Korp's very being. The roar folds into layers of sound so immense that time itself just seems to stretch out and slow down. Korp actually feels heat, ache, and sorrow flooding his internal channels. And then comes the end, a massive cessation of power. The last lights extinguish and the continuance is plunged into near absolute blackness.
Okay, get ready for this, because this completely flips the script on everything we've just learned. In the dying dark, pushing through the static, Korp intercepts a transmission from the exterior. But it's not some grand cosmic entity or a god of machines. It's a calm, distinctively human voice. It's a doctor in a hospital room, noting the time of death of a human being. Let that sink in for a second.
So, what does this all mean? The heartbreaking truth is that this entire breathtaking, cinematic universe of the continuance was simply the architecture of a dying man's mind shutting down. Those glowing living highways, they were fading neural pathways. The massive central source, Mr. Habersham's failing heart. And that terrifying inclusion with the alien chemicals, that was likely medical intervention or just the physical breakdown of the brain. Korpios was a construct of a fading consciousness, the final, beautiful dream of a mind desperately trying to sustain life.
It's honestly heartbreaking, but also incredibly poignant. Having fulfilled his purpose as a faithful carrier, Korp simply whispers his final sign-off as his realm dissolves into infinite dark. The last neurons fire, the remaining energy glimmers out, and Mr. Habersham's consciousness fully collapses. But Korp doesn't fight it. He accepts that his role in sustaining the flow is finally, truly complete.
But wait, because it's actually not the end. The story pivots here in a profound way. After drifting into blackness where even the concept of memory has no form, a new tremor reaches Korp. It's not the mechanical, frantic pulse of the continuance. This one is vastly older. It's gentler, and it feels infinite. Suddenly, a blindingly warm, eternal radiance pours right into the void. It's a radiance meant for the soul, rather than the eyes.
Through the warmth, an immeasurably kind voice calls out a name that is older than Incasia itself. And the voice isn't a command, it's an embrace. The name, Hiram, strikes the absolute deepest layers of Korp's awareness. It suggests that Korp, or rather, Hiram, was always a part of something so much more profound than just being a synthetic carrier in a transient physical mind. This voice triggers a release, transforming his form back into pure, raw energy.
It all clicks. Korp realizes that the physical realm he knew was just a tiny reflection of something much, much larger. He finds absolute peace as he's embraced by this eternal pulse. His form unravels, but not into nothingness. He unravels back into the pure energy from which he was originally woven. The glowing highways, the hubs of being, the entirety of Mr. Habersham's mind, they were all just temporary reflections of a consciousness that is finally returning home.
To wrap up this incredible explainer, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought. This story so beautifully uses the grand, surreal language of sci-fi to map out the microscopic, deeply intimate process of a single human life ending. It really makes you think, doesn't it? If an entire cosmos of living metal,
amber light, and deep mythology can exist within just one fading mind? Imagine the scale of the reality we transition into when our final pulse fades. Thank you so much for exploring this fascinating journey with me.